Well, good day, my friends. You are looking at the beautiful mural here in town in, I believe it's Vincennes, Indiana, of comedy legend Red Skelton. There is almost nothing that Red didn't do. He was in burlesque, he was in the medicine shows, he did radio, television, movies, and this was his hometown. His childhood home is here, his museum is here, and for years I've wanted to see this. We're gonna today. You can see over here they've got some nice images of his characters that he used to do. And then down here it says, "Good night and may God bless," which is what he would always end his shows with. What a great mural, huh? Daze with Jordan the Lion. It begins right now. A little bit of advertising for the museum here on the side of this semi. Gonna head over to his house, which is actually right by the museum. The museum is a huge resource center and everything, built right around the corner from the childhood home. John Mellencamp actually went to this school. Well, here's the street and the home that Red Skelton was born and for a short time raised in. His father was a clown in the Hagenbeck Wallace Circus. If you just saw the vlog I posted recently about the 1918 train disaster, he was part of that circus, and Red eventually was as well. This was childhood home of Red Skelton. He had 4 siblings, and his father actually died 2 months before he was born, sadly, so he never knew his father, but would eventually do his routines in the circus. They have a historical marker here that says, "One of America's Clowns." Comedian Richard Red Skelton was born here in 1913. As a teenager, performed locally in the minstrel shows and as a clown in circus. By the 1930s, he performed on vaudeville stages, became famous for skits such as Dunkin' Donuts. MGM signed Skelton to a film contract in 1940, advancing his comedy career. He solidified fame in 1941 with the debut of his national NBC radio show. Then on the other side, it says, during World War II, Skelton served in the U.S. Army and performed numerous comedy shows for troops. In 1951, he helped popularize television with the Red Skelton Show, which aired for 20 years and won multiple Emmy Awards. Skelton was remembered for on-screen characters like Freddie the Freeloader and his iconic interpretation of the Pledge of Allegiance. He died in 1997. So, the reason he was in World War II, even though he was a big star, was that he had divorced his wife, and because he was no longer married, that made him eligible for to go serve in the war. But he basically was just an entertainer while he was there. But he did get his start here at the age of 7 years old in this town, selling newspapers out front of a theater because the family was so poor and they needed money. And apparently that's where the interest in being a performer came to him. He had, one day a guy came up to him and was asking him how the show was, and he said that he heard the show was really good and that he wanted to see it. So the guy bought all of his papers, and that gave Red enough money to go to the show, and the guy took Red backstage and he met all the performers, and it turned out to be actor Ed Wynn. So literally right over here is the Red Skelton Comedy Center Museum. So imagine that. He quit school when he was 13 so he could go perform. His mom said destiny just caught up with him at an early age, and he was meant to do this with his life. So he When he was 17, he got married to a 16-year-old woman, and she basically ran his career for the rest of his life. I mean, as long as he was a performer, she got him good deals early on, and then they ended up divorcing after like 13 years, but she continued to write his skits. She wrote that Dunkin' Donuts skit that we saw listed on here, and she would basically manage his career, do all of his deals, work out his contracts for him. So kind of an interesting little tidbit to have your ex-wife doing all that for you. But let's go over to the museum. The house looks to be in pretty good shape. I wonder if they have any plans for it. They're gonna turn that into part of like a walkthrough or anything like that. Wow, this place is big. They even have a nice image of Red over there we'll check out. Michael Richards put out a new book, the guy who played Kramer, and he was talking about how big of a Red Skelton fan he was. Said that he loved Red's comedy, and when he met Red told him, work clean. You'll always be working if you don't tell dirty jokes. So that was something he always kept in mind, and he always also said that a lot of the troubles that Red had were because of the physical comedy he did. So when Michael Richards would play Kramer, he would wear, even though you couldn't see him, under his clothes he would have knee pads, a back brace, and things like that for when he was gonna do anything physical. But he said he found out after Red died that his widow had sold all of Red's books to a bookstore. So he immediately called the bookstore and said, I want to buy every one of them. So Michael Richards has Red Skelton's book collection. Nice. Clown, comedian, painter. He was a real Renaissance man. As soon as you walk in, they bookend the first entry room with a couple of statues of Red. Look at this. This first case has all kinds of his stuff in it. Looks like a suit that he wore to give a commencement speech here. Red Skelton Bridge. Some of his clothing, costume, props and stuff. Yeah, he was a mainstay on television for a long time. He was actually performing in Las Vegas when he got word that his show had been canceled, and it just totally broke his heart. As soon as you enter the museum, they have some of Red's paintings he did of himself. Very collectible. And the place looks great. You can even indulge your clown fantasies while you're here if you want and have some fun. Look at all the posters that they offer of Red's artwork. This whole listing right there. He's got the Christmas spirit. Look at all the cool stuff that you can buy in the gift shop. I'm not gonna find this anywhere else. Good way to start a museum tour, seeing all this awesome stuff that you can buy on your way out.
Introduction to Red Skelton, and we have a little montage here. If you get closer, it's the activate.
The star of our show, Red Skelton.
We're actually getting a tour with Mark, the curator here.
That was around the opera, but I love the word.
Young picture of Red, and sort of
6 years old.
he was sort of born in his house is still here.
Yeah, we just went over there.
He went over there. Good, there was a marker there, and he went to school here, but he didn't finish high school. His father had a small grocery store in the neighborhood. Want a good story, you print a legend. If you want the facts, print a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he wanted a sound. His father has been claimed to be a clown, but I haven't found any documentation on that.
Well, you know, the only thing that I found was in an interview with Red, I found where he said that he did a routine when he was in the Hagenbeck Wallace Circus, and he said that was my dad's routine. Yeah. So that's the only thing that makes me think that maybe he was for a time.
That's
but
a Red story, yeah. Red was never in the Hagenbeck and Wallace.
Oh, really?
Not that I found. No documentation, and I've got a pretty good. There's a timeline of Red Skelton's life, and he might have the closest thing, he was friends with Clyde Beatty, and he might have been in that circus
Okay.
for a while, just maybe for one day. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to note that, like you said, that with all the things he did and all the legends and everything, there's all kinds of mistruths weaved in there, and some even said by him himself. You know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Red tells the story that if you want a story, ask me. If you want the facts, ask my wife.
One of my favorite jokes that he said was when Harry Cohn died, and they said 3,000 people showed up, and he said, "Well, you give people what they want, and they'll show up."
Right, you bet. You know. But like I said, he didn't finish high school. He went. He liked education, but he just didn't like the schooling. So he left Vincennes around at the age of 17, and he ended up doing all kinds of odd things. He was on a showboat for a while, and later on he ended up in Kansas City, and this is during the walkathon craze, where couples dance until they wore themselves out.
Yeah.
This is during Depression time, and the last two couples won a cash prize. Red's job was to MC that. We have a nice timeline of Red's life, and this just covers this whole what was happening during the United States and the world events and media. Red got into really the business at the end of vaudeville, but he did vaudevilles, but they were playing a mixture of movies and stage shows at the time. But in Kansas City, he performed there, and but then walkathons, he traveled the country, and ended up in that died down, and he ended up in Canada, and he developed his Dunkin' Donuts routine. So before that, he was mostly insult clown. Mostly he was just giving insults to the audience, and he was getting insults back. His wife, he married his wife in Kansas City, and she was mostly like the stooge, kind of in the audience who insulted.
Right, the plant, yeah.
And went on stage. But she also has been credited of inventing the Dunkin' Donuts routine, making Red do more observational type comedy, find funny things of everyday life. And
It's kind of a staple in comedy now.
well, not really. Comedy, it's hard to find a character actor, comedians now. Mostly it's all words.
Well, I was mentioning in the video that in Michael Richards' new book, he talks quite a bit about being a big Red fan and what Red would tell him and advice Red would give him. And he would say, like, you know, my knees don't work anymore because of all the physical stunts. So Michael Richards used to wear knee pads and things under his clothes that people didn't know about because, and Red also said, work clean. If you work clean and don't do dirty comedy, you'll always have a job.
Right.
So
Well, Red, during his lifetime, he was later on he was wearing braces, and in '95 he was told not to stop. His body was giving out, and he couldn't travel anymore. And so, but he was kept on working with the braces on his legs, and I got to see him on Ball State, and he was in a wheelchair after the performance.
yeah, that's what I'd heard.
But yeah, Red performed in front of Roosevelt. Got a big break on radio on the Rudy Valley program. Rudy Valley was a major singer at the time, and everyone got national exposure. And got his own. Tried to do some movies, but got his own radio program. Went to Hollywood. But during his president's performance, Mickey Rooney saw him. Mickey Rooney got him a screen test to MGM movies, and that got him an MGM contract, and he became an MGM comedian for their musicals. Divorced his first wife. She was her business manager and wife, and they just couldn't have a family and business relationship. But after they divorced, she studied as his business manager, but he married the second wife, Georgia. She was a MGM player, mostly like background kind of thing, and he went in the Army for 2 years. His major job was to entertain troops going back and forth to Italy on troop ships. And while you're in radio and motion pictures, you have a schedule. While you're in the Army, there's no schedule. So you say an officer says that you read to perform, and you perform. Well, he had a nervous breakdown. So he got a medical discharge, and last 3 months before the war ended, he was in a hospital. He went back to Hollywood, and later on he went to television, 51, and he was on television for 20 years, which is sort of a record at that time. And then he got canceled from CBS. CBS was going into a different direction of programming.
Yeah, weren't they bringing in like Mary Tyler Moore's show and things like that?
That was later in the 70s. So it was most like All in the Family. They wanted,
okay.
They wanted more edgier type comedy, more issue oriented. They were also going more in crime drama, kind of thing like that. They were trying something to get the younger people to watch. So they got rid of all rural type of programming. They got rid of Gunsmoke and Beverly Hillbillies. They were top rated at the time. It's just that CBS didn't think that they were generating for advertisement.
Yeah.
So they canceled him, and like you were saying, he was a little bit bitter about that. He tried a season on NBC, but it was a half-hour program, and it was on Sunday, and it just was a bad time slot. People couldn't find him, so he just ended television. But the people thought he disappeared. But he went on to do performing concerts, state fairs, sold out crowds. He just kept on performing until his body gave out. He nonstop. He did art. Right now we're featuring the Christmas stuff. He's an artist. He did art shows. And
did he mainly paint himself generally?
No,
or I just see a lot of that.
Well, not himself, but most of clowns.
Clowns, yeah.
Clowns were the more commercial kind of thing. But he also did landscapes, still lifes. He did Japanese art.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So he did, but it's the clowns that sort of sold. People wanted that part. So like I said, he started performing when he was a young boy. And another bit that I hate to destroy, but I haven't found proof, is that he tells the story that he met Ed Wynn here while he was a young boy.
Yeah.
And they were Red and Ed were friends later on, but we haven't found any proof that Ed Wynn performed here in Vincent. We did find an actor comedian called Raymond Hitchcock. And Raymond Hitchcock was a comedian who did parody songs during World War I, and he did a curtain speech. And also Red has referenced him many times in magazines and newspaper articles while telling the same story when he was a young boy, and he met a comedian, and Raymond Hitchcock's the person. So we think Raymond Hitchcock somehow got changed to Ed Wynn.
Okay, that makes sense.
Ed Wynn was going through tough times, and Red probably wanted to give him a little boost. And Raymond Hitchcock also died at a young age, around the 40s. So not many people know who Raymond Hitchcock was. So for some reason, Red changed it to Ed Wynn. And
I noticed, I love this. You guys, it's not only like a museum of information, but you also have it's interactive where people can come do the silly steps.
You can walk like Red Skeleton, make funny faces. We have monitors all over the section.
So there's your steps. Here's your different faces you can make. All these are all TV show props?
Well, this is from stage work.
Oh.
So he's most of his routines from his TV he did on stage. He did Washing the Baby, Guller's Gin. So those were all from his television, from his stage work, his vaudeville. What Red did in vaudeville was the host. Well, like the vaudeville was like what American Got Talent today is. He was mostly the host, and he introduced the act, and also did things with during in between acts. You know, just the inflections of his voice, and some of his characters sort of inspired cartoons. They inspired Tweety Bird and Yosemite Sam. But you just have to use your imagination. And we have another interactive section here where you do sound effects that plays the clips from his radio program minus the sound, and people can insert the sounds to the radio clip.
Very cool.
And we have a section for Junior the Mean Little Kid.
Oh, wow.
Junior was very popular during the war, during the radio programs. He had a phrase called "I doed it," and if he was going to do something naughty, but it was worth the whipping, he said, "I doed it." And kind of like a Bart Simpson of today. Bart Simpson's not exactly a mean kid; he just does naughty things. And so Red and Junior was that type of kid. And we have
whole interactive
audio clips there. This is Edna. So she was, like I said, involved with
first wife,
and was on stage.
I love that inside the recording room there's also props. A couple of different cases here.
And if some of your viewers might know Ozzie and Harriet. Ozzie and Harriet was Harriet was the singer and Ozzie was the band leader for his first time, and then went to war, and then he got changed band leaders. Ozzie and Harriet got their own show. But I really enjoy this radio program because, you know, it's just different. You hear so many of his characters.
Yeah, that would eventually be on the show.
On the show. MGM mostly they're famous for their musicals, but they needed a comic for their musicals, and then Red Skelton became their comic. He did some things that were non-musical. What started me was his Whistler programs. I like horror, mystery, and Whistler program was the Red Skelton was a radio detective who got involved with the real murder. But he performed along with Lucille Ball, Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, major stars from MGM. His screen test for MGM, which I'd love to find a copy of, hopefully it's out there somewhere, is that he did movie stars dying, like James Cagney and other people dying, and that screen test was so popular that I understand there was copies made, and whenever mayor was or any other executive was sad, they asked, bring me Red Skelton's screen test.
Wow.
Be happy.
And this joke book.
NBC for 2 years. First season he won an Emmy for Best Comedy Show, and Best Comedian. And second season sort of died down in the ratings because Red had a operation in December, and it just was hard for him to recover, so they showed reruns of his show mixed in with some musical performers, and just the ratings went down. And so NBC canceled him. Then CBS picked him up, and he was on CBS for 17 years.
I love that he has
10.
that little image of himself very lightly on there. It's kind of worn out, and you guys have it on the side of your museum. It's great. Oh, neat.
Where we have 3 clips of Red Skelton doing his mime. So Red, while he was on television, it's more visual, so he did a little mime thing at the beginning of the show, and people can copy him, and then it'll repeat, and you can see yourself doing a mime of Red Skelton. While he was married to Georgia, they had 2 children, one a daughter, and then he got a son, and it was Richard Jr. Red Skelton's full name was Richard Bernard Skelton, and so his son was Junior, but Richard had leukemia, right? And right before his 10th birthday, he died from leukemia.
This was their trip, right?
Yeah, Red wanted Richard, his son, to experience the world. So they went on a world trip right before, a year before his death.
And he got to meet the Pope.
Met the Pope. Red was religious and respected all faiths. He was a Mason, and we have a display of his being a Mason, and he did a lot of things for Children's Hospital. We have a case for his fezzes. So he became an honorary member for practically every location that he visited. He was a 33-degree Mason.
Wow, that's the top.
Yeah. So, and he got a Gorgas medal, which is supposed to be one of the highest medals for Masons also.
Wow.
So.
And not too shabby,
No,
right
no.
behind you.
His awards.
Some Emmys.
Yeah. Like I said, there's 2 awards for his, he got in 52. And he got a special Emmy for his writing. And he got a special the Governor's Award over here from Lucille Ball.
Wow.
And some Golden Globes. And this is an interesting story about the Golden Globes, is that he got one, and got that from Richard Burton, and he fiddled around the top and broke the tip of the Golden Globe, and then Golden Globe, the makers of Golden Globes gave him another one, and he managed to break that. And they've they offered to repair it, but I love the story.
Yeah, there's the
So I want to keep it there.
broken pieces right there.
But he's made many awards, from comedy awards, television award, performers, SAG. Yes, this is a nice award that he got from Las Vegas as performer, as a great.
Performer of the Year. There he is
Looks
into
like-
his 70s.
Like I said, after he left television, he was still popular. Performed at Las Vegas, Reno, Nevada at the Nugget, and just like I said, I'm from the Ball State area, Muncie. I saw him twice up there. He was one of our favorite sons up there. Like I said, this is Mason work. But Red Skelton, like here, he performed it. He did some shows while he was in the Army, and
Wow, check out this room.
we got costume pieces from his TV show. And so we got Deadeye, and then we got the San Fernando Red. And these are interactive monitors showing clips from the shows themselves.
San Fernando Red. That's great. Was it his dream to have this museum, or how did this?
Well, he kind of thought about that. He said if he ever had a museum, it would go to his hometown. There was a time when he tried to buy up the downtown theater that he loved so much downtown, but It's kind of like the Walt Disney kind of deals. Once they found out that it was Red Skelton wanting to buy it, they kind of raised the price on it. That was the kind of dirty trick. There's other characters. He said that if there was a fire, the first thing you'd pick up would be the suitcase for Freddy the Freeloader, the makeup case. So.
Wow, that's iconic right there. Would you say Freddy the Freeloader is maybe his most recognized from even people that aren't fans would recognize that character?
Yeah, most recognized. It was because circus clowns seem to have Freddy the Freeloader as a hero. I mean, Red loved the circus, but he wasn't exactly a circus clown. But there's a love between them and circus performers. But the next thing probably would be Clem Cadillahopper.
Yeah.
And Clem Cadillahopper, you know, is your standard fool type character, country fool, but who just has a problem and he thinks of a simple way to fix it. But when we had this is when Red was a young boy in Vin Sins, he performed as a clown for the YMCA and also the Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts did a little circus performance, and this was found in a garage somewhere, and this was one of the cages and that were in the parade for the circus, for the Stout circus. Stout was a music writer, composer, Clarence Stout. He wrote for W.C. Handy and Burt Williams. Burt Williams was a major black performer for Ziegfeld. And his father Dahl was like a father figure to Red Skelton. He was sort of, and if you've ever seen the films Angels, Dirty Faces, he was kind of like the Pat O'Brien kind of figure.
Oh, okay.
You know, just he did basketball for kids in the area, and also kind of he's been credited as inspiring them to start painting. And Red's got his experience performing in front with Stout, Clarence Stout.
Wow.
So, like I said,
George Appleby.
Appleby, one of his lesser known characters, but mostly, if you wanted to sort of do a husband type character that's a meek and sort of henpecked, he did George Appleby. The writer Stuart Schwartz, who invented
Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island, he got Red into doing these type of characters, different characters every week. So if you didn't like one character this week, you could see a different character next week. And also Red sort of did like a comedy situation with his different characters, not just like comedy bits like Saturday Night Live. So they had like a storyline. So basically his show was a monologue, a storyline based on one of these characters. And when he went to the hour program, he had musical performers, some Iron Maiden and some ballet and opera, just a variety of musical performers, and also the sonnet spot, a spot that was totally, I had music background, but it was all sonnet. There's no words. So Red told a story that could appeal to everyone. You didn't have to understand what he was saying, and just watch him perform in silent.
That's very cool. You even have Clem's clothing here. A couple of the suit jackets. And the hat. It's actually a character I'm not familiar with. Cauliflower.
Pug? Yeah. He sort of didn't use them that much in his color episodes, but mostly was in a lot of black and white. He was a punch drunk boxer who kept hearing bells and birds. Imagine birds flying, or answer the phone. Why didn't it ring? Well, answer it anyway.
There's him wearing that shirt.
And right now we're featuring the gift of giving, since it's the season of giving right now, Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we honor people who have donated things to the museum. Right before the museum got started, people were donating things to us, and so we try to honor their donation.
That's neat. So you said all the stuff that we've seen so far is permanent exhibit, but you do have a rotating exhibit,
right.
So there's a reason to keep coming back.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Like I said, I'm working on guest stars, and we had exhibits about his trips to Japan, his Pledge of Allegiance, his World War II days. We just and coming up is the 250th anniversary of America, so we'll bring back his Pledge of Allegiance exhibit.
Yeah.
Played all the time on the internet. People are putting clips of it all the time. This was during the Vietnam War, and kids were flag burning, and that upset Red, and he wrote the Pledge of Allegiance to show people what America was all about. He did a lot of paintings on oil, but then later on he did it with pencils.
You said these were donations?
Yeah, these were donated.
That's great.
Well, like my director said, Ann Pratt, we have an edition coming up where we'll be showing his original oil paintings.
Wow.
They're donated from Lothian. That's his third wife. Lothian Skelton sort of married sort of around the 1970s. His second wife was sort of dying, and sort of she released Red to marry Lothian. They were friends, and so Red, she knew Red was going to be happy after she passed away. And Lothian sort of still alive. There's about like a 20-year difference of age, and she comes and she's very supportive to the museum. Like I said, she's going to be donating a whole bunch of paintings. She's finding all kinds of things. She actually donated these hats that he used in his stage, his TV show, and his 14-karat cane.
Oh wow, with a lion on top? That's really cool.
So she keeps donating items to the museum.
Look at all those hats.
So people can get experience experience his artwork, but not have the real thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want to donate those to us. We just don't have the space for it.
Right.
And also, we're focused on the real thing. This is the
exactly.
So
you have an amazing collection here, though. That's for sure.
That's sort of the challenges I have, is telling people that we're not interested in reproduction.
Yeah, we appreciate it, but yeah. That was Lothian.
Yeah, she comes.
Last wife.
She still she lives in California, but she comes over about once or even twice a year.
And as we get to the gift shop, you can buy all kinds of shirts and all kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, so where we entered, I showed everybody basically from here on, and you're currently building all of this now. This place is going to be huge.
Right. Well, hopefully we'll have it as also we'll do events. Right now we have a big 800-seat theater, which is just too big for our events. We just have like touring events now and then. We have tribute artists. We've had like Rolling Stones and Beatles perform. But that's just too big for something like if we want to do stand-up comedians or
Yeah.
recitals or lectures. So hopefully we'll have room here to have like events where we could do talks and show. And we do have a theater. We show, just last night we showed films, comedy films, but we just need something in between. So
Yeah. You guys have done a great job here. I mean, I just can't, with just coming back from seeing the new Batman Museum and seeing this, there's so many great places to stop here in Indiana. People just have to keep their eyes open.
yeah, when they find out about it, to make a side trip to it.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it. Thank you so much for your time and showing me around today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well, my friends, we are going to call it a day here from the Freddy the Freeloader bench. Red Skeleton's hometown. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.